hope in? What's to die for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'ma live it, I'ma live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's to die for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'ma live it, I'ma live it to death.
Brody Pompe, and I have a lot of love for Brody. So I'm going to let him tell you about himself and kind of where he's from and, who introduced him and all that good stuff. So I'll let you have it, man.
All right. Thanks, Mike. I'm going to give you something super organic. I was thinking about doing notes before this, but Mike knows this better than anybody. I'm about as scatterbrained as they come. So enjoy the roller coaster ride here. So first off, I am originally from Oregon. I've driven race cars as kind of a profession my whole life since I was 4 years old. Moved to Ohio, went to college for race cars, got a degree in high performance motorsports. Moved to Mooresville, North Carolina, kept driving race cars and building race cars, and that was my love. And one day, my job decided they were going to move to Pennsylvania, and I had a decision to make. I was recently married, and I needed to decide, do I want to try to stay in this gig or something better? And I was at a engagement party of a mutual friend of Mike and I, and Mike comes rolling up and he's all happy and he's got his wife with him, and we knew each other prior, but I'm like, dang, like this whole appliance gig must be sweet. And then I get to talking to Mike because I saw he was doing some other deal on social media. I'm like, Mike, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm at Family First Life. I'm helping people, getting them life insurance, protecting families and whatnot, and kind of started telling me some numbers and stuff. And I'm like, man, that sounds pretty cool. I've always liked to help people, like in racing and stuff, like if I can get somebody going faster, whatever. So that kind of resonated with me as far as this whole deal. And the next day I was pressure washing the house off, and I went inside to my wife and I'm like, Britt, I'm like, send me Mike's number. I'm going to shoot him a text. And so I text Mike, we got on the phone, he sent me the video, and I'm like, all right, how do I start? So that's kind of like the super long life story, but Mike's the one that hooked me up here. So
awesome, man. You knocked out your test pretty quickly too, right?
Yeah, it was a few days. And North Carolina has that deal where you have to like do 40 hours or whatever training. So I just sat and babysat my computer and ran through all that. And if it weren't for the fact that I went so fast, knowing how my brain works, I probably would have forgotten stuff, but I ran through that super fast, got my test scheduled and knocked it out first try. So
there you go, man. That's awesome. So I know, if anybody sees you in the group, I always call you Mr. Perseverance, because you've went through like a lot of fluke ordeals in homes, just weird scenarios over and over, like almost like every appointment for the first. I mean, you've been here for what? One, I know full month, this past month, but like a month and a half, right? Yeah. Time flies. It's hard for me to remember.
Yeah. First dial day was like May 17th.
Gotcha. Yeah. And you've so you kind of came through and went through a lot of fluke situations, but one thing I've always admired about you is you don't care. Like mentally, right? You deal with it, but like you just keep battling, right? And that's what I love about you, because a lot of people, the situations, it's like, dude, why does this keep happening? And you've asked me that, like, is this normal? Like, is this normal? Like almost 3 or 4 times a week. Is this normal? And I'm like, honestly, it's not. Like, I've not really like maybe 1 or 2 things, but like most of it's not normal. And you can kind of, we don't really need to dig into it. It is what it is, just weird, bank account stuff. But like, one thing though that you've done really, really, really well here is you've sit down on a dial day and you've knocked out your appointments. So you've consistently always booked a lot of appointments. And you've done that since the first day that you got on the phones. So you're very disciplined in sitting down and dialing the phone until you get your appointments. And most days you're booking more than 15. So I kind of wanted to get into that a little bit because obviously you're doing something right on the phone script. You asked me to send you mine the other day and I was like, I ain't sending it to you. No, I'm not sending you my phone script. You keep doing what you got. So I'd love to hear a little bit of your phone script because you're consistently booking a lot of appointments and it's like every dial day. So do you have that in front of you?
Yeah, I literally have it memorized. Like I'll call my mom randomly and like run through it off my memory, but then I get on the phones and I can't remember it. So I got it here.
No, you're good, man. We'll just run. I'm not going to give you like any objection. Just run through it. Everybody knows the objections. So
yeah.
But
I'm going to preface this with I got this from you and I don't know who it came from originally. But I kind of just changed it around to like make it fit for me. Like I said, I'm a little scatterbrained, so I don't know if you can see it, but I like color coordinate like questions that I go through, and I have these little like answer sheets that I circle to keep me organized. So anyway, ring ring. Oh wait,
hello?
I did that back. Hey Mike.
No, you're good. Yeah, hello.
Hey, my name is Brody. I'm getting back to you about a form you filled out on the internet for information on life insurance protection. Mike, I'm the field underwriter here in Cabarrus County. It's been assigned to get the packet of information out to you. I just need to verify what you put down is correct on our end. I've got your birth date as January 1st, 1985. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. And your address is 123 Main Street?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, Mike, most people fill these out because they want to make sure if something happens to them, there's no burdens left behind like burial or cremation, or because they just want to see what's available to them and what they could qualify for. Which one of those, if any, best fits your situation?
Both.
Okay, perfect. So my job as a field underwriter here in the state of North Carolina is super simple. I just need to verify a few things so I can get this information out to you. Are you a smoker or a non-smoker?
Non-smoker.
Okay, perfect. Are you married, single, divorced, or a widower?
Married.
Okay, perfect. And what is your spouse's
It's Kate.
name? Okay. So the good news is there's about a dozen different options you could qualify for. They're all non-medical, meaning the state isn't going to require a nurse to come out and poke you with a needle or anything. Instead, they require me to come out for about 15 minutes to confirm you are who you say you are, make sure nobody's trying to get insurance in your name, and you aren't strapped to a hospital bed full time. We're running extremely behind right now, so I'll take down a few more notes and let you off the phone. Are you and Kate currently working, retired, or disabled?
We're working.
Okay, perfect. Typically, what time are you guys in through the door? Is it a typical 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Yeah, I'm usually off. We're both usually home by 6.
Okay, perfect. So I'll be seeing about 15 families a day, so I won't have a ton of time, but like I said, it only takes about 15 minutes to go through the information and see what you could exactly qualify for. I have availability the next couple days, but more specifically, they have me in your area on Wednesday. It looks like I have a 6:45 or a 7 o'clock. Which one's better for you guys?
We'll do 7.
Perfect. Now, just so I'm not driving around like a crazy person, I have a couple questions. Are you in a house or in an apartment?
I'm in a house.
Perfect. And what color is it?
It's blue.
And are the numbers on the house, mailbox, curb?
House and mailbox.
Great. And then lastly, do you have any big dogs that are going to try to eat me or gates I'm going to have to jump over?
No.
Okay, perfect. I have to ask that because I've been chased by some mean ones. So, and then real quick, they give me a confirmation number that they change every couple of appointments. So I like my people to have that on hand. So can you go grab a pen and paper for me?
Yeah, I've got one.
Okay, perfect. First, I'm gonna have you write my name down. It's Brody, B-R-O-D as in dog, Y. And then next, our appointment, which is 7 o'clock on Wednesday. And then our confirmation code for you is going to be 2749. And just so you know, my state license number is 198-50246. I'm running through it fast, but great. So I have you down 7 o'clock on Wednesday. I'll be coming from another appointment. It's about 30 minutes away. And so I'm coming from a little distance. So give me about 15-20 on each side of that 7 o'clock. And before I go, just so you know, I'm about 6 feet tall. I got short brown hair, and I'll be driving a black Toyota 4Runner that my wife has tried to rip the fenders off a couple times. So you'll know it's me when I roll up. I look forward to meeting and helping you.
Awesome, man. So yeah,
Bam.
I think that is Jamie's script, I'm pretty sure, or pretty similar. So
Yeah.
the cool thing, so I think I figured out, at least in my opinion, what really helps you. And I think you're not like really happy on the phone. You don't sound like a like if you called me, a salesperson would be the last thing that I thought you were. And I think probably most people would agree. And like, that's the hardest thing to teach, is like the people that do well on the phones, it seems like, in books a lot of appointments, not even as much as a script as it is like how you call. And I've always struggled with that, right? Because I'm always excited, and hey man, like I talk with buddy to people on the phone sometimes, and it like bites me in the butt, because like you sound like somebody that's in a call center that is just trying to like book the appointment. Like you don't care. Like you sound like you do not care at all. Like you're not coming to sell somebody something. And I think, probably on the phone, do you get many, because it's kind of long. Do you get many objections? Like, do people stop you and be like, hey man, I got to go, like anything like that? Or most people just kind of go all the way through smooth and you don't really get anything?
I'd say about 75%. I just roll through the whole thing like I just did. Typically, once I get to the like, do you want to cover burdens, or are you just seeing what you could qualify for? I'll kind of get a little bit of like them asking me questions, but I just stick with it. And half the time, if I hear somebody starting to talk, I just act like I don't hear them start to talk, and I just keep talking. And yeah, and I've noticed I'm not like super good at rebuttals and stuff when they do come up. So I just try to keep rolling. And so I'd say like there's a few, I just roll with it once I get there. I have the sheet of like things to say, but I just kind of hit it head on and see what happens.
You just roll through it. Yeah. So how many in a week, how many appointments do you typically book in a week?
So I was doing like 14, 15, but what was it? June 25th through the 29th, I did 18 a day, or not a day, you know what I mean? Like the 2 run days. So 18, yeah. And that 18 like pushed me, I think, mentally, because when I was in a home, I wouldn't be so like, I knew I had 3 extra, like I was playing with more money. And so I shoot for 18. I got to 15 today and got burnt out. And I'm like, all right, I got to do this call tonight and everything. So I stopped at 15, but I really shoot for 18.
When do you, so if you sit down, will you typically start down 7:30 or 8?
Yeah. So when I first started, I'd do 7:30. But now I just jam out from like 8 o'clock until lunch and try not to get up. My wife works at home, so the dogs sometimes bark. So I have to like pause dialing real quick and like let them out. But I try to stay like super focused and dial like 4 straight hours, and then eat lunch for 15 minutes, and then just dial till dinner time or something. So
on a typical dial day, like what time are you usually finished dialing? Do you dial, is there like by, typically 3, 4, 5 o'clock, or is it 8 o'clock most nights? What's that look like?
I shoot for like 4 or 5 because my wife does make dinner every night, and I try to be respectful of that. but there have been some nights I've dialed till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I've dialed some Sundays leading up to like Tuesday and Wednesdays before. But I definitely like to shoot for like 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah, gotcha. Does it seem like most days you're done by then, or?
Yeah. There have been a couple days where I had some technical issues and I didn't get to dial until like 9 o'clock. And there is like a big chunk between 8 and 9 where I can book like 4 or 5 appointments, just bam, 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 bam. And when I set up my schedule, those people typically are the ones going to work or just got to work. And so I draw a line like around 4 o'clock on my schedule and block that out for people who work. And so those are the people I book right away. Typically, it seems like to me. So
Nice, man. So I kind of want to run through your in-home. And I know that it's still kind of new to you, but obviously you've started to really close a lot more appointments. And I think a lot of it is you study a lot, right? You're always listening to podcasts. You're always on the calls, all that. And, you're really good at studying, but you also apply it. And I think that, and you can tell, I'll let you tell us, but I feel like you've come such a long ways in a short amount of time. And it's not like you started off with a bang, right? Like you've really like clawed and fought your way through this to figure it out. And you've told me a couple times, this has to work. Like it's got to work. Yeah. And, you've stuck true to that. So I'd love to kind of go through your in-home. You may not even have it structured. This is what I love about these sometimes. Like people are brand new and it's like, you just, submitted. Well, first of all, you did 10,000, your first full 30 days. And then now, we're sitting here, your first week of July, you submitted 11,000. So you literally submitted more. And I know not everything always issues, but you submitted more the first week of July than you did the entirety of the previous month. So obviously you're getting better. And I know that if we went back through the group in the post of your sales, most of which you wrote last month were on the tail end of June, right? Yeah. So it's like you started to gain some momentum. So obviously you're starting to figure things out. So I'd love to kind of go through your in-home a little bit, just kind of see how you structure it, what you've changed maybe to kind of go through some of those situations that you were running in through earlier that you've kind of changed to now that you don't really see them anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So obviously, like, I'd be way better if I was actually walking into somebody's home here. So this is kind of a deal. I'm not super good at it yet, but anyway, I roll in, how you doing? Whatever, the whole deal. You have a table we can sit at, try to take control right away. I have had to sit on some couches and I haven't sold a single policy from a couch. So I really I would rather sit on a front porch than a couch. But anyway, I first off give them my license. I have it laminated. This is who I am. I'm an underwriter. I work with companies. I have access to these ones. Get out the credibility sheet. I don't work for anyone on this sheet specifically. What I do is ask you some questions, health, financial, and kind of at that time I kind of like not segue into I call it a suitability sheet. Everybody calls it financial inventory, but I feel like that's kind of harsh the way I talk. So I try to layer all this stuff together right at the beginning and run through all that. Just show them, because I have a manila folder of all this paperwork that I show up with. So that way they're not shocked as I'm pulling papers out. And then I try to make that super short. And then I get out their lead card and I'm like, can you verify this is all correct? And they say yes, or if their address has been corrected, whatever. But at that point, I'm like, okay, what prompted you to fill something like this out on the internet? Because I know for me, I don't just fill random stuff out on the internet. And so then they kind of tell me, I had a husband died, whatever. And so I latch on to the first words that come out of their mouth, because once I've kind of like told them what I do, typically, like I've seen lately, the more confident I've been, they tell me right away, like what's on their mind. And I actually take a note of it on I just take notes the whole time they're talking on the back of the suitability sheet. So it looks like I'm engaged, like I can bounce back to that. And then I kind of have some ammo for later down the road. If they do have an objection of one variety or another, I say, hey, like right here, this is what you were talking about. Like, is this still important to you? And so to get back on track, I just start on the suitability deal and try to make, like, lately I've been trying to make some remarks, like if it's just an instant internet lead, I know I'm better at latching onto like mortgage protection stuff. So if they are vulnerable in that area, just based on their finances and stuff, I try to pull some information out on that. And then once we're done with the suitability, obviously I go into, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to submit for coverage. I wish I could approve everybody. That's not my job. The insurance company, blah, blah, blah. What that entails is they're going to need a valid driver's license and either a voided check or an account and routing number. And that just shows, I can't even think of the word, but like you want insurance. And I know I've talked to you and we run into like some banking issues in the home, and you kind of talked about that before, and I've switched that. Like, I know some people just go through the app and then they get to the banking and they're like, oh, okay, now we need this. But I've wasted like so much time in a home and people don't even have a bank account and they're not willing to like work through it with me. And so I just waste all this time. So I've moved that up in my presentation. And then obviously, like I see what they could be eligible for. And then I tell them I'm just going to like procure a plan here. And I write it all out on a piece of paper, show them some options, and then say, of these options, which one makes the most financial sense for you guys? And I hand it to them and wait for them to say something.
Gotcha, man. So, so really just following the system, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Just doing what everyone else says, right? So, so moving the banking information up at the beginning, right? So you feel like that has definitely helped you through your appointment, right?
Oh, 100%. And I was booking appointments like by time, and now I can squeeze that down by like a half an hour and fit like 2 or 3 appointments in a day. And I feel like that has come just from moving the banking info up in my presentation.
Right. And I love it. Personally, I do it because, well, one, like you said, I don't run into it on the back end, but 2, it sets up no surprises. So like when I tell them what we're going to do today, we're going to submit a request for coverage. And in order to do that, you need a valid driver's license or ID and a bank or credit union account and routing number. Like they know ahead of time. So that on the back end, when I get to that point in the e-app, when I say, even like, because a lot of the e-apps, you don't actually need to write the driver's license number down. I still write it on the inventory, or you call it the suitability sheet, but I still, like when I get to the payer screen of the Americo e-app, I'm like, okay, I'm going to need that driver's license and the voided check, or, you know, if you just know the banking or the account routing number, I can have that too. Like I still group it together on the back end. And like, I mean, I don't know about you since you've done that, but like, I haven't had any issues getting a check or anything. Like everyone at that point, they know that like I'm there, we found something. We're going to submit a request for coverage. If it's approved, it's going to come out. It's going to be, the first premium is going to be withdrawn from the bank account. We'll have 30 days to make any type of adjustment. Like they know the process by that point.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like at the end of it, all they're doing is selecting which coverage amount that they want to submit with.
Yeah.
And then it's like that one. Okay. You put it in and you're done. Right. I mean, you pretty much have them signed and the appointment's over.
Yeah.
And it's like a smooth process. So is that, you think that's the main thing that you've done differently? Or, you know, I mean, like I said, I know there was a lot of weird stuff. I can't even like remember all of it, but there was some strange things that were just like, I mean, cars blowing up, like whatever. It was some fluke stuff that just don't really happen. But, you know, as far as the in-home, you know, it sounds like you just go in and you take control. You haven't had an issue taking control, right? Yeah. And understanding that you're like, they don't know what we're supposed to say. They have no idea what we're supposed to say. right? So, I mean, you could go in and say anything and they just think that's what it's supposed to be. So I'll tell you guys something real quick. When I was brand new, which feels like, yesterday, but I went in a house, I was sitting in this house and I always got intimidated by people with money, right? Like, I don't care to go in a mobile home or anything like that. But if I go in like a nice neighborhood and I'm in a house like that, like I'm always kind of intimidated. So, or used to be. And I remember I was kind of getting my papers. I didn't know anything. It's probably like my 5th appointment. And I got the paper out and I was kind of digging through because I didn't do the manila folders. I was kind of digging, couldn't find what I was like, I looked up and I was like, can you guys tell that I'm new? And the guy looked at me, he goes, no. And I'm like, my heart sunk because I thought he was sitting there judging me like, this guy don't know what he's talking. It's like, and from then on, I'm like, these people don't have a clue what I'm supposed to do. Right. So it's like, honestly, that moment gave me all the confidence in the world to say whatever I wanted to say and, slur my words, not make sense because they didn't know. So it sounds like, just sticking through the script as far as like the flow of the appointment and then making minor tweaks, like moving the banking information up.
Yeah.
Has been huge for you. So what are you saying? So I'm sorry, things glitching out.
And I also wanted to add, I got a lot of shop arounds at first and I want to think about it. And so when I go through that credibility sheet, I literally like look at them and go, okay, so I can shop around for you and put you in the best position possible and take all the guesswork out of it right here on the spot. And as soon as I started saying that, once I got to the, okay, which one are we going to submit with today? People like, I say cut it in half because you still have those people who are just super indecisive. And I'm still working on that. But that definitely helped too. So.
Gotcha. So so that's cool. So you're picking up in the home the language that most people use.
Yeah.
Right. So, but using shop around before they say it. Right. I do the same thing when someone's looking at the price and I can kind of tell that they're like thinking in their mind what they're going to say. Like they're not just hopping all over it. Like, hey, I want that one. Right. They're just kind of looking at it. I always say, now I'm sure you probably want to think about this. Like I say it before they say it. So it's like, that's a key too, is like really jumping ahead of it and beating them to the punch basically. So a lot of this stuff's psychology, man. It's like at the end of the day, they filled out the form. We know, and they know they need it. So it's not like a traditional sale where you're trying to convince people of all this stuff. So that's cool, dude. So that's, I want to get into some goals because I know that, over the course of the last few weeks, like mentally you've kind of changed a little bit. And I mean, everyone's new. So, you don't really know what to expect when you first start. But I know that you've got some big goals and dreams and stuff. So I just kind of wanted to get into some goals that you had as far as, personal and then also team.
Yeah. So obviously I talked to you a lot because we had a prior relationship before this. So we just kind of chat. But anyway, you've kind of guided me and said, if you submit 10,000 a week, every week, consistently focus, you're going to get better. And you're going to look back at yourself in a couple months and go, wow, I was like terrible then. And you're submitting 40,000 a month. So my current goal is to do what I did last week consistently every single week until I'm able to look back and obviously go, wow, I was bad. And then at that point, and leading up to that, obviously, even at this point, like I'd like to be able to help people out and start growing a team. It's the greatest opportunity for me. It saved me a lot of different things that you and I've been through as far as having to move and dealing with the wanting to have to move and all that stuff. So goals, 40,000 a month, build a team and get to jamming on that.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited to see you do it too. And I know one thing that you were excited about, and we have to mention it because of this opportunity and being able to literally buy your license anywhere and work anywhere you want. You hadn't been able, I'll let you tell it, but you were able to go out to Oregon and, I'll let you kind of describe.
Yeah. So I hadn't physically like been home to Oregon. My whole family still lives there for 2 years because of my prior job. Obviously, like when you're fabricating race cars, you can't stop that. And luckily with Family First Life, I didn't have to stop working. Got my license in Oregon, took 2 days, bought leads, called from here, got on an airplane, flew to Oregon. The only person I told was my mother because I needed a ride from the airport. Rolled in, surprised dad. It was on Father's Day too, or that week, and so he was stoked. Surprised his brother, all the grandparents, and went and sold some policies and continued to grow and learn on that deal. So I got to see a bunch of people I hadn't seen for a couple of years, continued to work, and now that's going to become like a regular thing. So I don't have to lose touch with all those people.
That's awesome, man. That's one of the things that I love here is like, you can travel anywhere. Jason does it. You just kind of go work wherever you want, experience life, go see family like that. That's cool. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, they liked your story, liked you, felt like they connected with you, how would they get in touch with you?
They can shoot me a text. My number, I have 2 numbers, so I have to remember this one. My number is 541-250-2906. Just shoot me a text. I love texting anyway. Or they can follow and message me on Instagram. It's Brody Pompe _P0. That was my race car number. So naturally it's in the name of my Instagram. So go check that out on there as well.
Awesome, man. Well, you're crushing it. Keep going, and appreciate you being on.